Hello. This is the You've Had This Before podcast. And as sure as night and day, you've definitely had this before. So in a sort of like a meeting or something, someone asked Jordan Peterson a question. And the question went, the depth of my consciousness causes me to suffer. Is it a blessing or a curse to feel everything so very deeply? And Jordan Peterson, being the deep thinker that he is, took a while and then answered that the only way is through. You take more of the thing that poisons you until you turn it into a tonic that girdles the world around you. Right? So he sort of tells us or instructs us to go along with whatever chaos is happening in our lives or in our minds, because that's where we live most of our lives, right? We live most of our lives in our minds, in our heads. That is where you spend the most time. And we are also instructed or asked or advised to make sure that since that is where we live most of our lives, then we should make sure that it is clean. So your thoughts need to be thoughts that produce good fruit, right? Your thoughts need to be clean. Your thoughts need to be positive, right? If that is what you want. And when we sit down and listen to our thoughts, when we sit down and think, just sit down and think, there are times when you need to just sit down and do nothing. Just sit down and do nothing for even, 10 minutes, an hour. You just sit down and do nothing, just think, right? And sometimes we find ourselves having all these thoughts, and at times we create all these fake scenarios. Now, we might think that that is what happened, right? When we go back into the past and start thinking about how a story went down, we might think that that is how it happened. But then again, we forget to ask ourselves if that is actually what happened. Is it true? Do you ask yourself whether whatever happened really happened? Or do we just take it as it is? Because sometimes memory is distorted. Sometimes we do not remember exactly what happened. Right? Think about your favorite movie, for example. You can rewatch it very many times and realize that, wait, there's a part I had not watched. There's something I had not noticed about a certain scene. So sometimes this also happens in life. We think we know something, but then later on realize that we do not remember. That isn't exactly what happened. We have distorted memories, right? So when we are having all these intrusive thoughts, when we are having all these poisonous thoughts that cause us pain, it is important for us to sit down and actually think and actually ask ourselves, is it true? Did this actually happen? Is this what they actually meant? Right? Because sometimes people's words hurt us. And sometimes those words hurt us because of how the words were said. These words hurt us because we think that this is what this person meant, but we do not take the step of actually going to this person and asking them, was this your intention? What is your intention by telling me this and that? What is your intention by asking me a certain question? Were you trying to evoke certain emotions within me? Or were you just asking a question innocently? Most times the questions are innocent. Most times the comments are innocent. But then again, we overthink them. We think too deeply. We overanalyze the statements. And that's just how the brain works, right? But then again, have you sat with yourself for long enough to know that this is actually something that happens with you? Or is it just something new?